Everything around women encourages them to put off marriage and children so that they can have some fun and get it out of their system. Music, television shows, magazines, articles, videos, all of these mediums tell women that getting married young is demeaning and oppressive. Women like Amy Horton also bought into this lie. She wanted to live the bachelor life, meet the man of her dreams in her 30s, have a family, and live happily ever after, all while keeping everyone updated about the hookups and drama she's always involved in. But then reality hit. And now, at nearly 40 years old, Miss Horton is confused as to why she can't find a man. This is not the way she planned it. Scores of high-quality men are supposed to be chasing her, courting her, offering their hand in marriage. There's just one small problem. Men aren't following the script. They're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're not committing to a woman who's hooked up with dozens of guys, who's finally realized her worth and now regrets the many mistakes she made with the many men in her past. Amy Horton's about to have a rude awakening, and it is not going to be pretty. What's up, guys? It's your man, Donovan Sharpe, and I help men just like you become the very best versions of themselves by giving them the raw and honest truth about women. If you like this content, please like, subscribe, and share. You can also sign up for text notifications when I go live, make announcements, offer discounts on courses, and much more. Just text TSR to 474747. Standard messaging and data rates may apply. So let's take a look at an article Miss Horton wrote about her rude awakening. It's entitled, quote, "I've gotten blown off by men so much lately that I'm literally questioning everything. The dating scene is getting worse and worse," she says. "If I had known a few years ago that things would deteriorate to this level, I would have found me a good man and locked him down. I had no idea that Tinder would come about and swiftly create the demise of good old-fashioned romance. I hate this new dating world I live in," she says. "I want nothing more than to destroy all dating apps and the awful way they've ruined actual interactions." When she says things would deteriorate, she's actually talking about herself. Now, she certainly doesn't realize she's talking about herself because surely she's every bit as attractive now at 38 as she was at 18. So the fact that she doesn't have as many options has nothing to do with her deterioration. Oh no, it's the dating market that's deteriorated. Even though the wall comes fast for women and their attraction drops precipitously, they are always the very last to know or acknowledge that they have indeed hit the wall. Amy Horton has no idea that Father Time is now collecting his debt for having given her absolute power over men for the better part of a decade. And she won't figure this out until a guy tells her, "I've never dated an older woman before." That is when it's going to hit her like a ton of bricks, and that will be a rude awakening. So she's saying that because of the deterioration of the dating market, there aren't as many good guys out there. But what she fails to realize is that there aren't as many good guys available to her. And her blindness to her own decline in value makes her think that there aren't as many good guys around. This statement literally says, "Where have all the good men gone?" Which, of course, is the calling card of a woman who's been passed around for an extended period of time. She says that Tinder has diminished good old-fashioned romance and that she hates this new dating world, which is actually kind of funny because she is actually on Tinder and has been for a while. Women cannot expect good old-fashioned romance if they're on dating apps. Ladies, if you want old-fashioned romance, then delete all of your apps and make yourself more approachable in the real world. You know, being kind instead of irritable, looking men in the eye instead of looking at your phone, dressing like a feminine woman instead of a 17-year-old hipster computer hacker. Girls are always confused as to why men don't approach as much as they used to. Well, the three main reasons are A, the West has literally criminalized approaching women in public by making catcalling and striking up conversation against the law in some areas. B, they're not approachable. And C, girls are online giving away their bodies like it's Halloween candy. Why in the world would men risk embarrassment, humiliation, and possible criminal prosecution just to strike up conversation with girls who look like men and act like they have no interest in men when they can bypass all that nonsense by simply opening their phones? Tinder didn't ruin face-to-face interactions, Miss Horton. Women did. Tinder is simply the digital manifestation of the romantic female transformation. Girls don't want guys to approach them in public. They don't want to make an effort to look feminine and presentable in public, and they don't want to publicly display their interest in men. So Tinder was created to satisfy these objectives, and predictably, women are complaining about it, especially the older women who are not getting as much attention as they used to. Instead of destroying all dating apps, how about women start acting like women again? That's the only way face-to-face interactions will ever make a comeback. There are so many available options that guys don't try at all, she said. It's like they're sitting there with a huge menu in front of them, and it's so overwhelming that they can't decide what to eat. If they try me out, she says, and I'm not immediately to their liking, they move on easily. There's no need for effort, and it's sickening. Of course they blow me off, she says. They barely even think of me as a human being. I'm just another face on a screen. Oh, how the tables have turned on Miss Horton. You see, gentlemen, what she is describing is the inverse of what she experienced in her 20s. In her 20s, she sat there with a huge menu of men in front of her. In her 20s, she was so overwhelmed that she couldn't decide what to eat, or in other words, who to hook up with. If the men she tried out were not immediately to her liking, she moved on easily. In her 20s, she didn't have to make any effort, and she blew off countless men. She didn't think of men as human beings. They were just another face on a screen. It's so funny when women complain when men play the game better than they do. A woman will lie to men, cheat on their boyfriends, use men they have no romantic interest in for free dinners, and take their husbands to the cleaners in divorce court. But as soon as one man plays the game better than she does and gets over on her, men are dogs, men are garbage. There are articles talking about girls who use men for free meals by misleading them about the romantic interest in them. Everyone praises these women for this brilliant plan. But then as soon as we get a guy like the Dine and Dash dater, now it's a problem. He gets jail time and national ridicule while women get a pat on the back. Women hate it when they do not have a decided advantage on the dating market. And there are only two things that put them at a disadvantage. Number one, they run up on a dude who plays the game better than they do. And number two, they get old. And this is exactly where Miss Horton is now. What she did with men in her 20s is exactly what is being done to her now, and she doesn't like it. Then she wants to whine about, I'm just another face on a screen. Cry me a river, Amy. Men constantly decide I'm too much work, she says. Because I have needs and feelings and I'm not some accommodating robot, I'm too much trouble to bother with. There are so many options online that they can just easily find some girl who doesn't require anything of them. I avoid all of the D-bags by refusing to let go of my standards, but I'm getting rejected by so many men that it's starting to screw with my head. It's funny when women describe their neuroticism and unrealistic expectations as needs and feelings. Girls are so impossible to deal with these days, it's no wonder dudes are only using them for bedroom fun. It seems that the less time you spend with a girl, the less of a headache she is. But here's Miss Horton's problem. When she says, I'm too much trouble to bother with, she has no idea that it means she's simply not worth dealing with anymore. Young, pretty girls get a lot more leeway in the way of dating because they're, well, young and pretty. It's a cost-benefit analysis. A female's youth and beauty make dealing with her nonsense worth it to some men. It's just like sports. The more talented player X is, the more shenanigans Team Y will put up with. Guys like Antonio Brown and Odell Beckham Jr. come to mind immediately. These guys are constant distractions in the locker room and in the media, but because of their talent and production on the field, teams tend to deal with it. Hall of Fame receiver Terrell Owens was also in that camp. He was a distraction in San Francisco, blew up the locker room here in Philly, and did the same thing in Dallas. But when his skills diminished, he couldn't get a contract. Amy Horton is the equivalent of the diva receiver who no longer has talent. Guys used to deal with her nonsense because she was young and pretty, but now that she's almost 40, dudes ain't trying to deal with her anymore. But instead of saying, I'm too old to put up with, she says, I'm too much trouble to bother with, as if to imply that men are the issue and not her diminishing beauty. Then she complains that there are girls who don't require anything of them. This again is a female who expects men to cater to her for no other reason but that she's a woman, and is surprised that there are women who understand that, at their advanced age, beggars can't be choosers. These are the musings of a female who is grossly overestimating her own dating market value. The fact that she indirectly says that she requires things from these men is laughable. What exactly are you requiring, Amy? You want men to open doors for you? You want men to be a gentleman? You want men who treat you like a lady? Sweetie, you're almost 40. Wake up. You had your chance to dictate what you wanted out of men in your 20s. But because your attraction level is now next to nothing, you want to complain that other women your age have figured out that they're in no position to make ridiculous requirements of men? Then she says she's refusing to let go of her standards, and that's the problem. You'll take what you can get because your options are limited, and that is what's really screwing with your head. I get tossed aside, she says, so frequently that it's messing with my head. She continues, I had to delete all of the dating apps. I know that I'm a wonderful woman and a great girlfriend, but the callous disregard of men online made me question my own self-worth. I started thinking that maybe there's something really wrong with me, that these guys find me too intimidating and ambitious for them. In reality, I can't change the fact that they're so insecure. She, like most older women, blames everyone and everything but herself for her declining dating market value. Instead of acknowledging that she is older and less attractive, she blames the deterioration of the dating market. Instead of realizing that she's not worth the trouble anymore, she blames other women for having low standards and being too accommodating. Instead of understanding that her company outside of hooking up isn't worth dealing with, she instead blames men's laziness and cites that as the reason they don't have girlfriends. And then she says that men are afraid to meet up with her, instead of coming to the realization that dudes simply have better options than her. So now, here she is, blaming men once again for her own deficiencies. She's just too intimidating and ambitious for them. They're so insecure. You know, the funny thing is that she almost kept it real with herself when she said that she started to think that there's something wrong with her. But then she immediately reverses skate and goes right back to the insults, blaming men for not choosing to be with her. If she were such a wonderful woman and a great girlfriend, she'd be with someone. But she isn't, so she's not. And in order to sleep at night, she has to tell herself and others that there's nothing wrong with her, but something wrong with men. This is the typical rhetoric of females who are getting left behind for younger, kinder, more feminine women. I like who I am, she says, but it seems most guys don't. I'm tired of men who say one thing and then either back out of it or act completely the opposite. 1 minute, I'm the coolest, most genuine, interesting, grounded woman they've ever met. The next, I'm too much for them and they feel that I deserve better than them. Just be honest and quit with the lame cop-outs. I like who I am, but this pattern makes me feel bad. This is the classic case of a woman who is on her best behavior in the beginning. Like all women, she's cool and genuine and interesting. Of course she is. She's putting on a facade, a front, a mask. A woman can fake the funk for only so long. Eventually, she is going to show him who she really is. And if she's dealing with a man with options, he's not going to stick around to deal with her nonsense. Ladies, you cannot get mad when you look and sound like a Ferrari in the first few weeks, then moan and groan when he takes you back to the dealership after he opens the hood and sees the engine of a Toyota Camry. Then she talks about lame cop-outs, because surely she's never used a lame cop-out like, I need to find myself. I need some me time. I'm not being true to myself. Once again, Amy is upset that men are running the same gambit on her that she used to run on men. Like I said, women love the game when they win, but they hate it when men play it better than they do. Guys, how many women do you know that are like Amy Horton? And ladies, do you think it's fair that men are passing her up for younger women? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this content and you want to know how to avoid committing to the Amy Hortons of the world, for less than a Netflix subscription, you can become a patron. Access to my archive, my dating show breakdowns, my weekly webinars, and much more will be at your fingertips. The link is in the description. Get thousands of hours of content not found anywhere on patreon.com/Donovan Sharpe. Link in description.